Be a kid. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 54 of the Showerpodcast, the podcast where I'm in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip. Last time I forgot to tell you. And today I want to, share one of the, the nicest perks that I consider having for myself. And that is, trying to keep alive as much as possible and sharing it also with the people that are around me, my childish part. What I mean by that is, of course, there are a lot of definitions, as most of the topics that I tend to bring to this podcast, where the, it depends on the perspective and, the kind of light that you want to shine upon the topic. If we want to, start with the negative attributes, when somebody is being childish, most of the times is maybe in an argument, they are not trying to be, constructive. They want to keep their opinion, whatever it is. They are not able to change their mind because, again, they have a very reduced view of the world and of the situation. They act in an impulsive manner. And again, I think, go on with... There's a lot of things that one could, not necessarily like about the way that children act. On the other hand, though, there are, I think, more positive aspects to that kind of behavior. And I genuinely believe that there is an actual need to keep that aspect as much as possible in your life, because I think it's one of the things that keeps you going in a healthy manner. And it's also one of the keys to not becoming stale and boring. Because one of the things that I, appreciate, and we should really, mimic from children, is that they never stop, asking questions about themselves. Of course, we know the natural behavior where they, ask about what is that? How does that work? What is this? How does this work? And so on and so forth. They are curious about the things around them. But one of the other things that they do is they push themselves to discovering how much they can do. How much can they learn? How much is there to know? Of course, this feeling, is fueled by the fact that their amount of knowledge, I don't want to link every episode to the one before, but there is a reason and some continuity to what I do. So the amount of knowledge that they have is very reduced, and they generally don't have that curse that I mentioned in the previous episode, because everything is new, and the approach that they have to these new activities is unique, is something that it's strictly linked to their way of being. And, once we grow up, it's not that we lose that kind of thing. I genuinely believe that, each and every one of us has a unique approach to any kind of activity and situation that can find himself in during life. But what we do is that the more we grow up, the more we try to fit in within a very specific box. And we like to say, yeah, these are the things that I can do. These are the things that I cannot do. And I don't want to, mix these two boxes, because that would, change my identity, or most importantly, the things that I'm certain of. And I really believe this is completely wrong, and there is no reason to do so, because again, if we just take a look on how they act, this lack of fear of mixing these two things and trying as much as possible to do stuff, to learn stuff, and to, put themselves to the test, is what makes them grow. There is, this fear of, while you are an adult, of fitting in, of acting right, of being, as similar as possible to your peers in order to, find your place in a specific, environment or bubble. Again, I think today I've dropped so many title drops from the previous episodes, but yeah, feel free to go check them out if this is the first time listening to an episode. So we, let's say, limit, that that childish behavior that we potentially still have. And this is something that scares me because I see it a lot also in the newer generations. If you look at teenagers nowadays, they try to act as adults. They try to rush through things. They skip so much, so fast in a moment where they really should nurture, again, that behavior of, again, being themselves and unique. Now, the problem is completely, let's say, stemming from that let's say, feeling of trying to fit in. And of course, it is nowadays fully fueled by social medias and, an image of how one should be, that it's a bit delivered, let's say, to you. And you either, let's say, resemble it and try to act upon it, or completely reject it and then go into your own direction. I was also inspired to do this episode by, let's say, I think it was yesterday news, something like that, that the guy that arrived second place at Sanremo, the Italian Festival of Music. Again, I have an episode also about that. But he will represent, let's say, Italy at Eurovision, and not the guy that arrived first. And the peculiar thing about this guy is that, let's say, he represents, I think, to the core what I'm trying to explain here today. He doesn't dress, or he doesn't, let's say, he's not a classical artist. He's definitely not a pop artist. The song that he brought is, let's say, tries to underline how much everybody tries to act tough, to act as, let's say, the person that will make it, the person that is special, the person that will solve it all. But at the end of the day, we are not that person. And even if we are in some bits and pieces around our life, we cannot, let's say, constantly keep that mask on. And again, this song underlines and, let's say, explains his the way that he feels, in his song. And it resembles perfectly this, let's say, you can see his childish behavior, but again, in the positive way that I described at the start of the episode. And now coming back also to a personal matter, another, let's say, hint that I had to do the episode was that coming now back home today, I was, let's say, watching Instagram, and at some point I ended up in a, let's say, reel about a cartoon that I used to watch as a kid. And let's say it was more of a revamp of something that already happened in the past. And while watching it, even though I am, let's say, I'm a grown-up man, I still got the goosebumps, watching it, and mostly because it linked myself, to the memory that I had back then and to the enthusiasm that I felt. And I asked myself, why should I repress and why should I, let's say, reject this positive feeling that I have, this emotion that is very, very rare, let's say, in our lives. It's not that everything that we experience, everything that we see, does bring such a strong emotions in ourselves. And the moment that we are able to, let's say, pick up on it through something, let's say, that is happening right now, connecting it to something on the past, there is a lot this tendency of saying, no, this thing I cannot accept it. It's something that I liked as a kid. I am different now. And again, I think it's a lose-lose situation for both your current self and your past self. Whereas if we would be more accepting of how we want to feel, and we would try to, let's say, just go a bit more with, let's say, the way that we want to feel, and again, trying to push a bit more, let's say, the experimental behaviors that we might have. I think that, again, overall life would be definitely less boring. It would be, you wouldn't even feel that much the pressure to fit into something, because again, you would have such a strong base, let's say, upon yourself, that you really don't care of what one could think or say about you. Now, let's be honest, even, doing something like this, recording yourself, posting it on the internet and whatever, in the eye of many, would be something that it's, let's say, not acceptable, because you're exposing yourself, you're saying things that, I don't know, maybe lots of people don't like, or in general, just the fact that you are, let's say, doing something that you wanted to do, and maybe also them would like to do that, but at the same time, they don't have, let's say, they have a lot of chains holding them. Whereas as myself, as I told you, I really don't care. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm still going to do it. Mostly because, again, the reasons why this exists live completely within myself. So I don't have to give credit to anybody else, if not myself. I encourage you again, for the last time, to bring out more your childish self, and let it be part of your life, because you'll definitely enjoy it more, and it will be ever more fun than you're used to. This was episode 54 of the Shower Podcast. Thank you very much for listening. As always, feel free to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe if you're not, and see you at the next one.